Hey everybody, so this is a quick one on project management versus process management. And this has come up a few times in different sort of arenas and has come up as a question several times. Where do you manage the different ones? A lot of people don't necessarily make that distinction. And where some of this question comes up for people is when do you use Trello versus when do you use Process Street? So for those who aren't familiar, I'll just give a quick overview. So Trello is one of the more popular and free project management tools out there, and you can display things as a Kanban board. So you have lists and cards on each one. And Process Street is really a glorified checklist management tool. We love both, and we use them both extensively. Now, for Process Street, you're going to need Process Street when you have a process that has a lot of steps to it, and it's typically one that is repeatable. So maybe it's a customer onboarding process, maybe it's a social media marketing process, but let's just say that your onboarding process has 47 steps to it, which is not an unreasonable number. And they're very specific. First you have to get them to sign this document, and then you have to put them in the training software, and then you have to get their photo and like all these different things that are a checklist and that have a linear order to them. And that is the process. And when you build that out, you may be involved in it as a leader or as a manager, but at the end of the day, a process should be run by a process manager, which could be a virtual assistant. If you have a really good process that has been well designed, well laid out, and hopefully gone through our POS system, of the process optimization system, then you don't need very high level talent to run it. In that case, it is sort of a minutia, sort of a nitty-gritty thing. But at the same time, when you do a process that way, you open yourself up to natural opportunities for automation. Because if you have a process that is so well documented that anybody can do it without any skill or training, then naturally there's going to be some really great opportunities to create automations in there. And as we know, if you can automate something that you're having a human being do, in essence, you're dehumanizing them. So we want to avoid that. All that to say that generally speaking, the process stuff is pretty regimented and pretty the nitty-gritty and the details. And so that needs to live in one place. Trello, on the other hand, or a project management tool in general, is really for more high-level stuff. And if anything, it's almost for a leader or a manager to really know where they should be putting their attention at any given time. And the two can interact with each other, but that's very high level. So the best way to think about this for the onboarding is that you might have a candidate who's going through the onboarding process. Now, on the process level, in Process Street, there's 47 steps, and maybe you need to know that they're at the 37th step and that someone else is at the 32nd step, and so on and so forth. But on the project management level, on the Trello level, maybe it's just 2 phases where it's just like new hire, onboarded, right? And that's all you need to know about. So you as the higher level manager might be able to see that at the project level that somebody's stuck in new hire for 2 or 3 weeks. And you don't necessarily need to know what step of the process they're in. You just need to know that that's the phase that they're in. So think about that too, phases versus steps in a checklist, much more high level. Now, the last thing about that is that the two can interact together quite easily. So if you have a process that has 40 steps to it, let's say, and those 40 steps really take people through 4 phases. So maybe the first phase is, background check. Second phase is interviewing. Third phase is training. And fourth phase is onboarding officially, right? So there's 4 phases. What you can do, whether it's manually or automatically, you can certainly do this automatically if you use a tool like Zapier, is that you can say that when those first 10 steps are completed, so they're done with that background check phase, then it automatically moves that person's card in Trello from new hire to background check completed, for example. So it allows you to interact with the process without being directly involved in the process itself. So I hope that's clear. There's a place for both in your business, but there's not necessarily a place for you in both platforms.